do the weekend, and then I'll go back with her. Staying there.
Right. So what you're saying, you don't want to do the minibus thing, but you want to stay with the accommodation, yeah?
With the trip, yes. With the tour of whatever around Chichester.
Ah, but no. What I was saying, are you actually going to be staying with us?
Yes. So it's the 13th.
But
2 nights, is it? Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. So obviously we're not. Well, the thing is, it's a bit makes things easier, Rog, so we don't have to pick you up.
And I'm a bloody nuisance, yeah. So fine, so that's good.
Nobody said you were a bloody nuisance.
I did, because it's happened before. Don't worry about that. I can take it on the head. Oh.
Oh God. All right, no, that's fine.
So that's easy to sort out. And I'll meet you at the hotel in Chichester.
Yeah, no, that's okay. Yeah. It's not a hotel. It's a nice bed and breakfast.
Arrange that, because I'd said to the others before, I wasn't sure because of all the changes happening with the holidays we planned and different things. Some are cancelled, to know exactly what's going on. Now we're much clearer. I know things, and March will be open because I like to be on the trip anyway. Always did. I missed the other ones because of clashes with other musical events I've been on. Well,
it would be good to have you along because we might be joined by Anne as well. Anyway, Rog, thanks very much. I'm going to have David telling me off. David, I had a check through the post. Thank you very much. So that's done. Right. So anyway, thanks for that, Rog. So we've done Chichester now, so that's brilliant. I just want to mention about the excavation. That's all going to be plugging along for June. We've got stuff being sent out to everybody now. We've just taken somebody on board now who's going to be working alongside me and Jessica and everybody else, so that's good. And the other thing as well is hang on a minute, hang on, Gina, I'm gonna mute you a minute. Let's mute Gina. Hang on.
Andy's trying to join, but apparently it's on his works phone, and you're not.
Yeah, I've just got him to join now.
Oh right, okay.
Who's that?
Is he at work?
Andy.
Andy.
It was on a different phone. I think that's what it was.
Andy is S30.
What's that?
Oh,
Hi, Andy.
Andrew, where are you?
Where are you?
Anyway, folks, right, let's get on with it. Blooming hell. It seems to have gone to nuts since I joined. Blooming hell. Anyway, it's good that Andy's joined later than me, which makes things a lot better to cope with. Just two things. I mentioned that I wanted to talk about recent news in archaeology, and that's just one thing. And obviously we got to do Hebrides, but that's number 3. I just wanted to mention that I am aware that I haven't been doing the excursions, and I'm not doing lots of the live stuff. And I just wanted to say that I'm hoping that I can do some live stuff. It's going to be quite limited, but I'm thinking about something in Cumbria next year. I'm not sure what or which or when, but there's no reason why I can't drive up for 2 days and spend the night. We've got the van now. And it would be good to probably visit some of the places that are familiar to me in Cumbria, particularly South Cumbria, and maybe do something like that. So that'd be something for next year. So Margaret, Gina, Andy, David can have the great big hugs. We'll just leave it. Let's just leave Anne behind. She can just go and buy the chips. So that's one thing that I was going to say, and so to try and get things moving again. The other thing I was thinking about is that we've got a nice group on a Tuesday, and there's 10 of us, which is great, but we have lost we've lost the likes of Gilbert, and it might be a good idea to see if anyone else wants to join us now. And I've been thinking today as well, is there any chance that you five guys can get together again? And I'm struggling. I'd just like to know whether, Margaret and Gina, David and Andy can maybe get together again, because it's that's important for you guys to be together. But if that's not if you don't want to do that, then fair enough. But I'm starting to think that maybe now's the time to start getting together again. I don't know, right? And maybe it's a discussion that you guys can have, and it's not something that we need to discuss now. So the archaeological news type of thing, you've all seen the statues. You've all seen the 2 statues that have been found in connection with HS2. And if those of you who haven't seen the statues, we're just going to stick these up anyway. So I'm just gonna plonk these up on the screen, if I may, and it will be. People have been contacting me about these 2 statues that have been found in connection with HS2, and I'm just trying to find a link on you with some images. I think I'll use the New Scientist article. Right, here we go. And right, okay, let's okay, I agree. Right, so let's do a bit of screen sharing now. Let's show these 2 statues. I'm referring to them as 2 statues anyway. Screen and bingo, start broadcasting. Let's get on with that. I wanted to do some current stuff today as well, so let's just do that, and we'll show. Right, so this we've all seen this, and if you haven't seen this, then I'm not going to have a go at you for not seeing it, but this is the find that I've had people contacting me via email. I've had people contacting me via text. I've had people contacting me via Facebook, and I've had people phoning me up and saying about these statues, right? Which is absolutely brilliant. But I would like to say that nothing like this, nothing of this quality has ever been found in Britain. It's the one thing that I have said over the years is that the Roman era in Britain is not the Roman era elsewhere in the Roman Empire, because we don't have those massive aqueducts. We don't have the massive stadia like the Colosseum. We don't have the massive triumphal arches. We don't have proper Roman roads. We don't have many examples of bridges. In fact, we're so much of an outlier of the Roman Empire, it's sometimes difficult to actually see whether we were really truly part of the Roman world. But when we come up with discoveries like this, ancient Roman statues discovered during HS2 high-speed railway dig, 2 complete statues of a man and a woman, along with other Roman objects, were uncovered by archaeologists working on the planned route of the UK's HS2 high-speed railway. Now, I think this is absolutely amazing on another level, that these have actually been reported now. And I try to avoid politics in regards to archaeology, but usually when finds are found in archaeology these days, it's published years and years later. We've got our own problems locally, where we've got 600 sets of human remains. We've got lots of discoveries that were excavated as part of a road system widening in the Vale of Glamorgan in 2018, and nothing has been reported at all. Nothing at all. But this is being reported now. in the present when it's been discovered. And the way things are reported in the world of archaeology depends which part of the world you're in. So we don't have anything being reported in South Wales, but we've got lots being reported in North Wales, hence why we looked at North Wales, was it 2 weeks ago? And this is being reported along the HS2. So that's the politics side of things. St. Mary's Church at Stoke Mandeville. We've all come across Stoke Mandeville over the years because there's a hospital there. Archaeologists digging on the planned route of the HS2 high speed have uncovered an astounding set of Roman statues. Amazing. Buckinghamshire. And 2 complete statues of what appear to be a man and a woman were found, plus the head of a child. Hexagonal glass Roman jug was also uncovered with large pieces still intact, despite having been in the ground for what is thought to be, well, we can say 1,700 years in time. So we got the Rachel Wood, the archaeologist, saying they're hugely significant because they're really rare finds in the UK. You know, if I didn't have an audience and I was speaking to you know, somebody outside this, I would use the words no shit. This is massively significant. This is unbelievably significant. And to find one stone head or one set of shoulders would be astonishing. But we have 2 complete heads and shoulders, as well as a 3rd head as well. They're even more significant to us archaeologically because they've actually helped change our understanding of the site, because the site where the medieval church is built on. Now that's really big, in a sense that when we look at medieval churches, we always think of why is a medieval church there? Is a medieval church there because it was originally a pagan site? Is a medieval church there because of X, Y, and Z? So the discoveries at Old St. Mary's Church, Stoke Mandeville, they are so significant, so remarkable, that we would certainly hope that they will end up on display for the local community. Well, personally, these are nationally important. And no, these need to go into the British Museum. I've got to be honest with you there, sorry. Experts believe the location was used as a Roman mausoleum. Too much assumption there. Around 3,000 bodies have been removed from the church and will be reburied at a new site. Well, we won't go there. You know my feelings about that, and you know that things like this, you know, the human remains should, you know, they shouldn't be removed like this. I'm just going to see if there's any other images on the Google. And here we go. So there it is. So we've got that head obviously goes with that there, and you've got another head there with that, and you've got another head there as well. So in terms of why this is so important, you know, the archaeologist said that we get bits. Right, we get little bits of carving, we get little bits of broken head, but we don't get complete things like this. Unfortunately, as an archaeologist, with the state of the way things happen, we may have, if we had more time, we could have excavated more of the site and understood it a bit more, and so on and so on. Looking at this, I would say there's something very Tuscan about this, very Etruscan about this, in the sense that these people probably came from the central belt just above Rome of Italy, from the likes of Tuscany and the old land of the Etruscans, because the Etruscans were known for their carvings and obviously absorbed into the Roman world, and they would love to have lifelike statues associated with their family. So I'm going to take a punt, and I'm going to say these are representative of an Italian family that were actually buried and the location of where these people came from in Italy is just north of Rome. That would be not my assumption. That I would put a £100 on that, and I'd even offer to pay for a drink for Pete in a cafe against this not being. So there we go. There we go. They're excavating. They're finding this, and absolutely amazing. Really, really, truly great that. So actually, I've used up all my time that I wanted to look at things like this. So I've done my archaeological news today, so that was quite a blast. And I'm just gonna make sure that I'm all singing from all the hymn sheets here. Somebody's actually put something in a chat book. They said, I thought that. Claire, are you saying you thought that they were Etruscan Tuscan? If so, that's two of us. The thing is, when you come across
to be honest, I did.
You did, and I'm. Do you know what? What we're going to do? We're going to actually go back to that image a minute, and the reason why. There's another point that I've just missed. I've missed an opportunity with something, and you've made me see that. So I'm just going to see if I can get back to that image. You've made me miss an opportunity to put something important across. So, right, okay. Now, in the article, the archaeologists are just saying they're Roman, right? They're not going into any detail, and that is a shame, because I was having a conversation with somebody on Sunday. And they said, "Oh, how do they know they're Roman?" And I'm just thinking, right, I understand your point. And I made a point to Jessica in a week. I said, "Are these actually Roman?" And Jessica said, "Oh, they're definitely Roman." But I think the big question is that if they are Roman, tell us a little bit more about what's going on here. What? In fact, the Roman era is in Britain, is in Egypt. So. If they're Roman, what does that mean? So the point of giving some more detail to explain the narrative helps us understand the importance of these finds. These people are from actually Italy, right? And you're thinking, well, hang on a minute. If we are talking about the Roman period, of course they're from Italy. No, then it's not. Of course they're from Italy, right? Because most people who lived in the Roman era in Britain. 99% of the people who lived in the Roman era in Britain were native Britons, were actually First Nation people of this land. Only 1% would have been of Roman blood. So again, this is really significant. Incomers, representations of them in the archaeological context, and that shows our significance. And this is why I wanted to come back to that. Right. So anyway, let's go to here. Are we showing this other image? So what we're looking at today is the Hebrides, right? So we got North Uist and South Uist, which we'll probably look a little bit more at there. So what I need to do is probably get another nice little image. Hang on a minute. That's hang on a minute. Oh, here we go. Nice little one of the Hebrides. Here we go. No, I don't want to buy it on Etsy. Hang on a minute. Let's get a little bit of a map up there. See if that gets in much better. Okay. Oh, yeah, we go. Let's get in there. Nice. It's not that clear. Oh, yeah, we go. Excellent. So this is the Hebrides. Being that I'm somebody of the University of Highlands and Islands graduation, this is something that we would sometimes come across. It would be what we did discuss, and we'd sort of bypass the lower part of the Hebrides, and we'd go straight to this place here, which is South and North Uist, and we would sort of look at this nice little bit of a chain here, and South and North Uist, these sort of lower islands would be places that we would visit in lectures. the one that springs to mind is the Hallan mummies. Yes, we've got mummies represented in the archaeology on the Hebrides. But I just want to tell you a little bit of a story from one of my lecturers, and that's why you're here, first-hand knowledge. One of my lecturers, a chap by the name, Claire, could we mute your speaker a minute, because I'm getting announcements from Asda coming through, and I don't want reduced scones. Okay, I know it's a good idea, but I don't want any reduced scones at this minute. Anyway, thanks for that, Claire. So what we've got, one of my lecturers said he was speaking, Professor Colin Richards, really nice bloke, right? Typical archaeologist. He was just like one of those that as nice as pie, a type of guy who would just like you know, somebody oldie worldy type of archaeologist from the 1950s and 60s. And when he became my lecturer, I only knew him for a very short period of time. I think I only met him twice, and I spoke to him on the phone a few times. And he said that when they were excavating on these islands, it would be very, very difficult, because they would be up against the local people with the local ideas and the local way of doing things. And what we mean by that is that whenever they would excavate, they would need to excavate and they would need to have somebody on site, because the local people didn't want the archaeologists digging things up. They didn't want the fairies out of the box. They didn't want things mucked and moved around with. And he was saying he had some really strange experiences with trying to get the local people to see that archaeology needs to have a scientific base. He wasn't convincing the local people that archaeology was important. They knew that history and archaeology was important. That's why they didn't want the archaeologists mucking around there. So, you know, he was trying to get the local people. This is different. This is different from what we usually do, right? I had a conversation with Jessica today, and I just said, well, was it? Yeah, it was just that thing. Well, we've got to try and make people make archaeology relevant. Well, we're making archaeology relevant when we're with you tonight. So, you know, you're the converted, right? But there's so many people out there that we need to convert. But on the islands of the Hebrides and the Orkney Islands, so we'll go over to sort of our Orkney Islands over here. We don't need to convince the people of their archaeology. They're aware of their archaeology. It's all the way around them. But as opposed to Orkney, we go back over to Hebrides. It's trying to tell them that, you know, we need to really see what these things are in the ground. Is it what do they tell us other than things that go bump in the night? We know about the things that go bump in the night, but now we need the scientific relevance. So I just wanted to tell you that little sort of bit there. So what I want us to do now, I want us to sort of go back to let's not have any screen sharing there a minute. And I'm going to go to my notes, and there we go. And let's see what we've got here. So, right, okay, let's get off that, and let's just press a few buttons. And what we're going to do is here. Right, so Hebrides. So it's that word, isn't it? That word again. It's an archipelago. The Shetlands is an archipelago. Orkneys is an archipelago, and so is the Hebrides. An archipelago, is a composition of many islands, hundreds of little islands off the northwest coast of Scotland. So what we've got is divided it into the inner Hebrides, so the islands closer towards mainland Scotland, and you've got the outer Hebrides. They are home to rugged landscapes, fishing villages, and remote Gaelic-speaking communities. Yes, and all that stuff in regards to sort of Bonnie Prince Charlie, and all the rest of it. And the Skye song, we all know that one if you've watched Outlander. The Isle of Skye connected to the mainland by bridge as a colourful harbour and so on. So what we, and the area, the total area that we're talking about is nearly 7,500 square kilometres of land. And one thing that I didn't want to broach upon today, but I'm going to do it anyway, is this thing that the Hebrides is one of those places in the United Kingdom where you can go and you can see buildings just abandoned from the 1950s and 60s, and you can open the door and the crockery still on the table, and the pan is still on the stove, and ivy and stuff is growing everywhere, broken windows, bits of roof collapsing and all the rest of it. Because what's happened is the Hebrides in the 1950s and 60s saw a move from people living on islands over to the mainland. Well, this had been going on since the 1900s, where these areas, like the Hebrides, like lots of islands on the Hebrides, were being abandoned, and it's only now that people are actually going back there. People are actually going back to these archipelago islands and actually reoccupying them. And this is what we're actually seeing in the Orkneys as well, where people are actually going back and removing into areas where their grandparents used to own a home, and they're resettling because we've now got the technology. We can have little gas heaters, and we can have electricity, and we can have all these things. But all that wasn't available in the 1950s and 60s because there weren't these things, and people are actually starting to move back. And the reason why I'm mentioning that, why am I even mentioning that? Because we did a whole lecture on Cyprus, did we not? And I said about modern archaeology, history, the sense of abandonment, and this thing about this whole thing about history and archaeology repeating itself, constant change. You know, I would go to the island of Rousey, and you would hear stories of, oh, by the way, there were clearances on the island of Rousey in the 1850s, 1860s. People were being cleared off the island, forcibly moved out their homes, and now people are moving back there. And somebody said that in West Wales, for example, lots of areas in West Wales, not so much in Cumbria, because Cumbria is a bit odder in this respect. But in regards to West Wales, for example, there are areas that were being abandoned in the late 1800s, early 1900s, and now people are moving back there. So the Hebrides themselves are a great microcosm of differences, and it's that same sort of microcosm of differences that we might see, for example, in Cornwall. We might see sort of nice Cornish communities, and over there we've got communities that have moved in, right? But this microcosm of differences within the Hebrides is far greater than that. So what we've got is the Hebrides, lots of those little islands which are chucked out there. Let's before I do any more, let's just have a little look at these little islands a minute. Let's just have a little look at the outer and the inner Hebrides, little bit of a map there. That'll be nice for us. Right, okay. I'll just work out what I'm doing in a minute. Just get the technology up there. Let's just a bit of a screen share. Roger, your nose is looking really close to the screen tonight.
I'm dozing.
What do you mean you're dozing? I thought this was interesting stuff, man.
It is. I'm just drifting, and it's all going in. Don't worry.
I'll tell you what. No, it's not going in, you lying toe rag. Right, okay then. So this is the thing. I showed you a bit of a vague map earlier on. So you've got the central part of Scotland here on the right. Let's start again. Mainland Scotland, right? There's something else I need to explain as well. It's a little bit of a foible. So you've got the Inner Hebrides here. Lots of these are actually accessible, the sky via the land, right? But then you've got the Outer Hebrides. You need to get there by little ferries. And within all this, there's hundreds of islands. So this is the Inner Hebrides, all the red, and that's the Outer Hebrides, all the gold. And there's all little hundreds of little islands. Some being, people are actually going back in there, sort of housing these islands. Little Island of Egg, I like that one there. And you've got the Isle of Lewis up there. There you go, the Isle of Lewis. You've got Stornoway there. Stornoway, not Stornoway, Stornoway. And you've got South and North Uist here, and you've got a bit of Harris there. All these names sort of become familiar. Skye there. So you've got that. The Isle of Mull, you can't miss that. Islay, Colonsay. Now, one thing is, well, you can tell the local from the Outlander, and you can tell the local from the Outlander by a simple thing, right? So if you've got somebody that goes over to the island of Harris, right, and they say, "Oh, I'm from the mainland," right? The local will say, "I'm from the mainland as well," because the local sees the mainland, these big bits here, these big bits to the local are the mainland, right? Now the Outlander would think that the mainland was Scotland, right? So there's the two differences. I know that's a bit of a quirk. It's something that I've realized. So when I'm in Orkney, I always say I'm on the mainland, because that's to me the main. Orkney is the mainland, because the island of Rousey are the islands which radiate around the central core of Orkney. I thought I wanted to give you that little bit of a foible. It's one of the things I do to you all. So let's stop that a minute, and I'm just going to get on to some of my notes, right? Hence why you guys do these lectures every week, to have all my strange little quirks. So the islands themselves, we know from what we've seen, way back, lots of these islands were actually directly connected to the mainland anyway. They weren't islands. When we think about it, we could say all the way back 12,000 years ago, those lots of those sort of outlying islands may have, I'm not saying they all definitely were, may have been connected to Scottish mainland, right? And we're talking about a great sort of Mesolithic culture. And what we're saying with the mainlands of these Hebridean central archipelagos, like South Uist, like Harris, like Skye, and one of the things is that they've all got their own sense of development, and with that sense of development, you're going to have different dialects developing in regards. Over time, you're going to have islands that are primarily First Nation speaking, and then you're going to get people on some of the islands who are speaking in Nordic dialects, and then you're going to get on some islands people speaking in Scots dialects and Irish dialects and English dialects. So the diversity is extremely flowing, and the reflection of the diversity is basically in the various different names given to these islands. So the Hebrides are where much of what we do see then of the Gaelic language. That's another string to the bow. Gaelic literature, Gaelic music. This is where we get. You can't argue with me that Scottish mainland and the Hebridean people are the same people. They are very, very different. even the sense of Scottish identity on mainland Scotland is very different from the sense of Hebridean identity. And this Hebridean identity goes way back, goes really, really, really way back. That sense of crofting, that sense of fishing, even modern economy is very different in regards to oil and all the rest of it. So we could see that what we do find within the basis of the archaeology within the Hebridean Islands is that we get evidence of archaeology going back in excess of 8,000, 8,500 to 9,000 years ago, particularly on the island of Rum. And what we've got is some of the oldest archaeological evidence of people living in Scotland actually comes from these islands, these mainland islands and their islands in regards to the Hebrides, and let's just chuck in Shetland and Orkney there as well. So some of the oldest archaeology in Britain actually comes from these locations that we know of. And it's very odd that, because when we think about the Hebrides and Orkney, these are some of the last places that would see the melting ice at least 10,000 years ago. So we're going in about 8,500 to 9,000 years ago, and people are living in these localities. What's going on? Surely it would have been cold. What are we seeing? What do we understand? Where are we? So and what we do, we've got some of the finest examples of standing stones at Callanish, right? So we got the Callanish standing stones, and before we say it, I'm sure Pete's seen them. He does brag with his little bit of a camper van. And then we got Cadwhallan. Cadwhallan, which we will mention, I've mentioned that before, is a Bronze Age settlement on South Uist, and is the place, wait for it, that we've got evidence of the earliest mummies being detected in the archaeology, right? Mummies. Oh, we're doing ancient Egypt, do we? No, we're not. Don't be so silly. No, we do have mummies in Britain. We've got mummies in the Roman period. Yeah, we've got evidence of mummies in the Roman period. We've also got evidence of the likes of Pete Marsh, and we've got evidence of mummies in Ireland. But we've got some of the earliest evidence of mummies in the Bronze Age on South Uist. So there we go. Mummies on the Hebridean Islands. So, do you know what? I'm going to spoil it now by mentioning the Romans. And what we've got a Greek historian, Didorius Siculus. You can't make it up. Didorius Siculus. At the same time that the Roman second invasion under Julius Caesar is disembarking in 55 years BC. That's that sort of successful, unsuccessful attempt before 54. Anyway, Didorius Siculus mentions about Hebrides. He calls it the Hyperborea, which means beyond the north wind. And Didorius Siculus describes around a temple that stood from which the moon appeared only a little distance above the earth every 19 years. This may have been a reference to the stone circle at Callanish. So can you imagine, 2,000 years ago, the Romans are describing an ancient stone circle that was ancient to them, let alone being ancient to us. So I think that's absolutely amazing that we've got Didorius Siculus basically saying, wow, we've got this ancient monument. I think that's great. This stone circle of Callanish is important to the Romans. Well, it's Greek. He's paid by the bloody Romans. Didorius Siculus. And then I think the history with all this is actually great stuff. Actually, this is why I'm doing it. So what we got another chap, another traveller. Now this is definitely a Roman. Demetrius of Tarsus, and who's related to the writer Plutarch. there's a tale of an expedition to the west coast of Scotland in or around 83 AD. Now that's really interesting because what's going on in Scotland in 83 AD? Please tell me what is going on. Is that the Romans have got a massive campaign in Scotland under Agricola, and what we do see about 84 AD, we've got in regards in regards to 84 AD, what we do find is that we've got the Battle of Mons Graupius, which is going on in the Scottish Highlands, but that's another lecture altogether. So this is what Demetrius of Tarsus describes the Hebridean Islands as follows. He stated it was a gloomy journey amongst the uninhabited islands. Stop. Uninhabited islands. Right, okay. Are we saying that all the islands are uninhabited? No, we're not. But there are, as of today, there's lots of uninhabited islands. There's hundreds of them. Not all of them have got people on. But he had visited one, which was the retreat of holy men. Oh, holy men? Holy men? That's really interesting, isn't it? Demetrius of Tarsus describes holy men on these islands. He mentioned, he did not mention the word druids, right? Which is great because I don't believe in these fictitious druids. As you know, I don't believe in fictitious Celts either. 1-0, Pete. But the fact of the matter is, he mentions that these islands have got holy men, and that's great. So we've got some kind of religious stuff going on in the island. So this is coming from Demetrius of Tarsus, which is great. Now, what we then find is the landscape. There are records of this landscape in the 500s, and there's reference to a kingdom known as Dalrata. And this basically comprises these bits of these islands, Argyll and Bute, bits of Ireland, a big empire. And then you've got the figure of Columba looms large in any history of Dalrata, and his founding of a monastery of Iona ensured the kingdom would be of great importance. So we got Iona as well. So that sort of sits in really, really nicely. And we got these like religious retreats on the Isle of Egg and Hinbar and Terre. Dalrata, north of Dalrata, the inner and outer Hebrides, were all sort of part of this sort of kingdom, but they were sort of under the control of First Nation people, the Picts, and we've got all this really, really nice stuff, and we've got nice bits of sort of things being said and bits of history and sort of about the Pictish culture and different languages being discussed and we've got this sort of a bit vague. Now, I'm doing lots of the history actually at this minute, and what I'm not doing is the archaeology, which we'll get onto probably a little bit before the break. But one thing I want to do is actually bid not farewell to talking about the Vikings at all before we've even started. But I just want to show you a little bit of a map in a minute. But one of the things that we do have is that sort of Hebridean sort of Viking sort of settlement type of part of the Viking world, and we've got the Vikings themselves well entrenched within the Hebridean Islands, probably as early as the 700s, actually, the late 700s. Now, this is really, really interesting to me personally. Not in regards to Scotland, but in regards to where are these people coming from that are coming to our coastline that are described as people from the north and in the DNA. And it's likely that these people from the north are actually coming from the Hebridean Islands, and these people from the north are Vikings, and they've already settled in the north in the 700s, right? A lot before we see the first references to the attacks on Lindisfarne on the east coast in the 790s. what we do see is the Hebrideans are already a hodgepodge of Nordic Viking there's Gaelic stuff there, there's Pictish stuff, there's Scottish stuff going on there. So there's a massive when the kingdom had been taken over from this Dalratia kingdom up north, which we're not really going to say much more about. But what we've got is that the Norse formally control the Hebridean Islands in 1098, when Edgar of Scotland formally signed the islands over to Magnus III of Norway. You couldn't make that up, could you? Edgar of Scotland in 1098. I love it. Magnus III of Norway. The Scottish acceptance of Magnus III as King of the Isles came after the Norwegian king had conquered Orkney, the Hebrides, and the Isle of Man in a swift campaign earlier the same year, directed against the local Norwegian leaders of the various island petty kingdoms. So we went in there. By capturing the island, Magnus imposed a more direct control. So in other words, this was the guy. It said fire played high in the heavens as flames spouted from the house, and that in the US the king died his sword red in blood. So it's the Norwegians actually conquering these Viking kingdoms, these little petty Viking kingdoms. He's basically saying, "Oh, look, we'll control this." So the Hebridean the Hebrides were now part of the Kingdom of the Isles, whose rulers were themselves vassals of the kings of Norway. The situation lasted until the partition of the Western Isles in 1156, at which time the Outer Hebrides remained under Norwegian control, while the inner islands broke out over to being of Manx control. So we're looking at the Isle of Man having its own kingdom. And did you know the Isle of Man has its own Viking type parliament that still meets, which is a nice little thing. In a way, the Isle of Man is pseudo independent, but we always think it's definitely part of the United Kingdom. But I think the Queen says, "Look, I'm the over Queen, but you can have your own little stuff going on there." Even today, following the ill-fated expedition in 1263, the King of Norway and Haakon IV, can't make that up either, the Outer Hebrides and the Isle of Man were yielded to the Kingdom of Scotland. So in 1266, with the Treaty of Perth, the Hebridean Islands went over to being under Scottish control. There's something really interesting here in this little last note here that I want to do. So the Viking contribution to the island can still be found in personal and place names. The archaeological record of the Nordic period is very limited because, we can't excavate everywhere, but there's nice bits of Norwegian buildings and stuff still standing out there, but not as many as we would like. But the Lewis chessmen, we can't. The Lewis chessmen, we absolutely love the Lewis chessmen, and it would be nice to look at the Lewis chessmen, right? Let's have a little look at the Lewis chessmen, right? And I've actually just clicked. We're gonna do the Wikipedia entry on this because it's perfect. We're gonna do it. We've all heard of the Lewis chessmen, right? From our nice little Isle of Lewis on the Outer Hebrides. So there we go. So let's just have a little look at that, and let's do a little bit of a screen share. Let's get all these nice little bits on the screen. Some facts. We need a few facts up there, don't we? Now, here we go. Let's have a few little nice, really nuggets of facts. Let's just show the Lewis chessmen. And the Lewis chessmen is a nice little story in itself. So here we go. So we're going to do this. We're going to plonk on there. Right. There we go. There's the Lewis chessmen. We all know about them. The Lewis chessmen in the British Museum. There they are. Good old conversation there. Miserable little buggers. But here we go. The Lewis chessmen, or the Uig chessmen, named after the island or the bay where they were found, are a group of distinctive chess pieces from the 1100s, along with other pieces, most of which are carved from walrus ivory. And they were found by complete accident in 1831. This is a story in itself. I remember doing this as part of a university paper. Found in 1831, Lewis. That's the top island there. They may constitute some of the few complete surviving medieval chess set examples. I'm a chess player, right? I love my chess. Although it is not clear, although it is not clear if a set as originally made can be assembled from the pieces. When found, the hoard contained 93 artifacts, 78 chess pieces, 14 table men, and 1 belt buckle and a statue of Lloyd George. Today, 82 pieces are owned and usually exhibited by the British Museum in London, and the remaining 11 are at the National Museum of Scotland in Ireland, in Edinburgh. So there we go, 93 figures. And basically, oh, there we go. A newly identified piece, the equivalent of a castle or rook, was sold for £735,000 in July 2019. Four other major pieces and many pawns remain missing from the original chess sets. In other words, it's more than just one chess set. So here we go. I absolutely love this story here. I love the story of its finding is great. So I'm going to read this. I know we're reading off the Wikipedia thing here, but you can't get any better than this, and it's all verified anyway. So the chessmen were discovered in early 1831 in a sandbank at the head of Camas Uig on the west coast of the Isle of Lewis. And it was believed that when they originally found, they actually thought they were evidence of little people. Malcolm Sprout MacLeod, you can't make it up. There it is. Malcolm Sprout MacLeod found it. He was from the nearby township of Pennydonald. Discovered the trove in a small stone kist in a dune. And again, he actually originally thought that these were actually little people. You can imagine. The description is, I can remember this. So I remember writing this down. He was wandering along the sand and whatever, and a little rock tumbled forth, and he looked in, and there was all these little faces looking at him, and he thought they were all the little people. No, I'm not making this up. This is what he thought. Anyway, this is Malcolm Sprout MacLeod. Anyway, in a stone kist in a dune. So part of the kist had fallen away. A kist is like a stone little box. Exhibiting them briefly in his byre, which is basically his sort of long house with like a byre is where you've got like a little raised area and you've got a little ladder up to it anyway, and sold them onto Captain Roderick Ryrie. One reported detail that it was a cow that actually unearthed the stash is generally discounted in Uig as fabrication. So in other words, the cow was going along and he discovered them. After the Isle of, so basically they were then in 1844, here we go, after the Isle of Lewis was purchased by Sir James Matheson in 1844, Malcolm Sprout MacLeod, see, I'm not making it up, it's Sprout, and his family were evicted during the Highland clearances, which transformed the area into sheep farms. And it basically, there you go. So unfortunately, he couldn't have made much money out of the sale, could he? Because he was just chucked off the island in 13 years later. When the chessmen were discovered in 1831, one knight and 4 warders were missing from the 4 sets. So they're four sets. 4, blooming hell, I struggled playing one game of chess, let alone 4. So obviously a warder piece was found, which had previously gone unrecognised for at least 55 years. And basically, and there's a bit of a dispute over location as well. All these wonderful figures, and there's lots of controversy with that, which we're not going to go through. And the idea who actually owns them. So anyway, that's that. So what I'm actually, do you know what? I spoke for a whole hour, and do you know what? I'm gonna see If we can get some more images, these little things, because they're really, really, I'm just going to keep talking. Actually, can't be asked. Lewis, Chessman, you can have a break in a minute, guys. But I'm into this. Let me get in. Let me keep into this, right? So I'm just gonna So we go. Well, which one we gonna have first? I'm gonna just sort of miserable looking buggers, isn't they? Hang on a minute. Let's have a little look there. There they all are. These are the ones. They all look glum looking, right? You can tell that that's a woman, can't you? She's not happy. There's the king. And they're all individual. They're all ivory, and it said that this was part of a this was part of. Here we go. Let's have a look at some of these individuals, because they've been copied, and people have been sort of reproducing these over the years. There we go. Oh, don't he look great? So I think this is the new one that was actually found. So this is going to be and what we've got a rook, I think it might be. So say it was a rook. So there we go. There it is. There's a bit of the detail. This is the one that gone missing for 55 years. So we've got other ones that are out there, and I've actually got a set of these. We actually bought it a few years ago, but again, it's great that we're seeing these, and it's amazing that he survived. And actually, we don't have many chess sets this early out there. I'll just see if we can find another image. A nice little one there. Hang on a minute. Hang on a minute. Bring them back. It's saying. Have a little look at this queen. Yeah, if we can get that one up there. Yeah, there she is. She's looking a bit miserable, and they all look like men actually. But mind you, Norwegian women do look like men. You should see them. And there we go. So I wanted to sort of blast out on that. We've had a good hour, so that's great. So I wanted to I want to do the Callan Hallen stuff after the break anyway. So, and Roger's going to say, I've got to go now.
Yeah, go in a minute.
All right then. Well, if you're going to go, Rog, right? If you're going to go, make sure you sign up for the Chichester thing soon, okay?
Yes, I'll check, verify finally, and let you know before long.
Yeah, because we got to get you booked into a dodgy room. Are you going to have a single or a shared?
Single, if I can, I reckon. Yeah.
Well, no, if you can have a shared with Jessica. You could share with Jessica. She'll be happy with that.
No.
I'm staying with that numpty Darren, aren't I?
Oh yeah, you are staying with that numpty Darren. I love the foxgloves on your image, Jessica. They're lovely. Right, so
They're lovely,
Roger,
aren't they?
They're lovely, aren't they? They're lovely, you know.
I grew them.
What's that?
I grew them.
Did you?
No.
You little liar.
you yeah. Anyway, oh, and you'll be having letters from now on from our new employee Rona. But anyway, we'll talk about that again. Roger, anything you want to say now?
Oh, that was fine. It's interesting. It's all new stuff for me, totally.
So actually, we're only touching on the surface of Lewis. So and Lewis and Harris and Egg and Bacon. No, there isn't Bacon. No, I just made that up. Right. So Roger, let us know when you're going. Anyway, Claire.
Yeah, I'm shooting off now. Time.
Bye.
Yeah.
All right.
Bye, Rog. See you soon. Take
Lost
care. All
her.
the best, Sam.
Lost her. Oh, hang on a minute. I didn't see Sandra there.
What?
You haven't bothered, that's why.
Hey, you forget it all now.
Oh, hang on a minute.
Oh.
I got straight into it. Oh, well, see you, Rog.
Yeah. Take care. All.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Rog.
See you, Rog. Hey, we got to do Sandra now. Sandra. Go on, you old witch. Come on, Sandra. I want to hear from you.
This that you're discussing now about the islands, there was a program on the television a few weeks ago on, I forget what channel it was, one of the history channels like PBS or one of them.
Channel
And they
5.
they were saying that when that Mesolithic culture collapsed, it collapsed the same time as the one that they had in the islands of Malta. And there were a few areas all around there that they all collapsed within several years of each other. And they were very successful cultures, but
Yes.
they collapsed. And they don't really know why. They think
No.
it must have been some climate collapse or something like that for them all to go down at the same time. So,
Yeah, at the back of my mind, there's something telling me that somebody's been exploring some kind of epidemic, but that's
that could have been it, yeah.
uh,
And there
uh,
was also, they've made a new find in West Wales.
It's White Sand Bay.
Well, it didn't say where it was. It was still secret, and they're not releasing it because there's so many finds there. But one of the finds is a chariot burial.
Oh.
right. Yeah, that's been discussed a few times, hasn't it? But yeah, exactly.
Capel Hendra it's near.
All right.
And so what's going on? I don't know that they're suddenly finding all these things, you say, but needless to say, in Wales, it'll be donkey's years before anybody hears about anything.
Yeah, well, exactly. You know, it's the way it was. By the way, Sandra, I gotta say it. You know, I'm doing it in jest. I love your new hairstyle, Sandra. It's great.
I couldn't stand this itching with the
Wigs.
the wigs and the scarves I used to wear around my head, and I thought, why am I suffering?
I thought you wanted to look like Pete.
Well, I do look like Pete. We look like brother and sister, don't we?
On behalf of everybody, Sandra, I'm going to say it. It's wonderful to see you again today, and it really, really is. And I'm just, on behalf of everybody, I'm just going to say I'm really wanting you to get everything sorted soon, because I'm getting so frustrated that that you're on pins every moment, and we want this done.
I just want it done and dusted.
I want it done and bloody dusted because I'm sick of you and you moaning about it. I said to Pete the other day, I said I thought that it's not fair, and it's just like, you know, you're building yourself up, and you're saying, oh, it's going to happen tomorrow, and no, it's not. And I'm just thinking, you know, this is like mental torture. It's just wrong.
It is.
Well, they've even refused me an ambulance to go down to Swansea in, because I'm out of the area.
Oh, for goodness sake.
And my daughter has been diagnosed with breast cancer as well now, so she couldn't take me.
What's she want to go and do that for?
Pardon?
What's she want to go and do that for?
Oh, I don't know. She's had it done anyway.
Oh, good.
Then I had to get a taxi down because they wanted an emergency. This consultant anaesthetist to see me, and he ordered all these tests. Do you know how much it cost me to get down to Swansea and back?
150 quid.
200.
Right, Sandra. Right, Sandra. When you've got to get a taxi again, can you phone me, right? Because one of our members, Barbara, her son is a taxi driver, and he would have looked after you. So let me know.
Yeah, but anyway, I paid it out, and I got on. I went down there, and it was a pointless exercise because nobody came up to do the tests. I never saw anybody. I sat there for 6.5 hours on a plastic seat. And I got up and I walked out.
That's shocking.
This is shocking. It's
It
not
was a
right.
shocker.
It's not right. It's not right, Sandra. It's not.
No, it's not.
They put me on a bike to see how far I could stifle. I kept on falling off the saddle.
Mm.
But it's bloody pointless me being there.
Well, next time, please give me a ring. Flippin' heck. Anyway, thanks for that, Sandra. And Pete,
Okay.
buggered off. Anyway, good to see you. Good to see
And
you.
you too.
So, oh God.
Michelle.
Oh, that witch. Oh no, she's fine. She's surviving. She's still alive.
Still alive. After being with you for so long, she's still.
Can I just make a comment, right? One person did say to her a few weeks ago, I don't know how he puts up with you, but 99% of people say, how do you put up with him?
Yeah.
I have said that to Michelle. I said, I don't know how she keeps up with how energetic you are, Carl, and constantly going.
Yeah, I'm just on speed. Right, okay. Before David gets upset with all this stuff, right? David, anything you want to say? I think he's buggered off.
He's
No, I
not
think-
there.
He's gone.
No, he's still there.
Oh, he's in the background
Oh,
there.
he's making a cup of tea.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, he would, wouldn't he? He's always thinking about himself. Oh my God, he's in bed.
No,
Andy's
he's
in
not.
bed.
Andy's in bed.
Yeah.
Yes, he's in bed. David's up above him.
He looks very
But it-
comfortable.
Oh God, my head's going. Margaret, anything you want to say, darling?
Well, there was a good series on it. Might have been the one that Sandra saw. It was about these. They called it the Sacred Islands of Scotland, and
Yes.
it was all about. It was mostly about the Irish pilgrims going over there, but there was a lot of history as well, and it showed an old crannog off the Isle of Lewis, and they think it's about 3,700 BC, a lot older than they originally thought, and it was surrounded by ancient pots, hundreds of ancient pots.
Wow.
Have you heard anything? Where's he gone?
I'm here.
Oh, well, you've changed into a foxglove. Oh, there you are.
Oh, that's Jessica. No, I'm still here. Go on.
Yeah, and talking to the locals, they talk about the air being thin, meaning that they feel very at one with nature.
Ooh.
Oh, right, yeah. I feel
Thin
very.
air. Yeah, but fascinating area. It would be amazing to travel around in a boat and visit it all, wouldn't it?
Wouldn't it be lovely?
Talking about things that are manageable, right? Margaret, so would you go on a binge with me for a day or so?
Oh, I don't know. Would you be paying?
No, forget it.
You'd be lucky, Mark, would you be
I've
lucky?
got Scottish and Yorkshire ancestry, so I'm a bit.
He's still crying over a cup of coffee he bought 4 years ago.
I'm sick of you lot now. Right, yeah, I got to go over to Anne because she's the only sensible one amongst you lot.
Well, no, very sensible. I thought
Yeah.
that was very fast moving. I was having a job tracking all the different in that last bit when everything was changing from Norwegian to the Isle of Man and Scotland, and everything seemed fast moving. And
Well,
I don't
flipping
think I
heck,
took it all in, but I have taken
yeah.
notes so I can have a look at it.
No, you're not meant to take it in. But basically, can I just say something now? What we say for example, we would look at somewhere like Cornwall. We would say, right, First Nation people, i.e. native people from Cornwall, Britain, very proud of their language. Right, okay, Cornwall's easy, right? Unfortunately, if you lump in the Hebridean Islands in one, the outer and inner Hebrides, you've got the association with the Norwegians, which would be coming in the 700 years AD. You would have the very old ways, the very sort of isolated maybe communities that go all the way to the Pictish times, which are going to be the First Nation, native, whatever. And then you're going to sort of think about the Gallic sort of stint of sort of pseudo Irish Scottish people. So that's another network. You're going to talk about the other incomers from mainland Scotland, which are going to be the people who eventually become the people of Scotland. That's their bit. And then you're going to talk about the English incomers. And then you're going to talk about the other influences from the Isle of Man, where you've got different kingdoms. So in other words, the Hebrides, in a nutshell, has been constantly woven, going back and forth between ideas and cultures. and it's a good word for me to use before, which I've never used before. The Hebridean Islands is a cosmopolitan map of Britain, because it's easy to see cosmopolitanism being what is the engine house of the Hebrides, whereas in the rest of Britain, you know, again, I'm going to go to Pete as well. I'm going to go to his lovable Cornwall because it's easier to discuss than Cymru or Cumbria. Cornwall's a nice microcosm, but you can't deny that Cornwall is made up of all different influences, but it's difficult to see. You think about Cornwall as being like First Nation people, but there's a bit of sort of English, Anglo-Saxon in there, tiny bit. There's a bit of no, I'm going to say it. There's bits of influence from the continent, right? There's fishing influences. There's a little bit of Irish influences, and but it's on the surface. It's sort of not too deep.
Celtic influences, yes.
Shut up. That's one all. But the fact of the matter is, when you look at the Hebridean Islands, it's more open. It's more set out like a time map, a cosmopolitan map. It's more obvious than somewhere like Cornwall. And it's more obvious than somewhere like Cornwall when you go into a place with Pete and he's going on to the staff that there's no Cornish people working there. Yeah, I always remember that. And Pete's never forgiven me for nicking all the yogurts. Can you remember that, Pete? I think yes, I had grabbed all the yogurts.
I remember that well,
yeah. Fine. Right, okay. My God, we're never going to do... Right, Jess, anything you want to say quick? It's going to have to be quick. No, okay.
All good. Thank you, Carl.
Right. What about you, Claire?
Bye. I gotta go.
Okay.
All right, Claire. Can I ask, why have you got an umbrella in the background on your photograph?
It's a light. It's an
nice.
light.
Are you sure it's not a bloody hairdryer?
It could be, couldn't it?
Andy needs it with his hair.
Yeah.
I tell you what,
He's got more than me now.
Carl,
yeah.
Appreciate the support.
smile.
Why I'm smiling?
Good.
Right, good. And Claire, make sure you get if you ask Jessica nice enough, you can go to the Lantwick Major Class Christmas meal. Oh yes.
Can I now?
Yes, you can. Claire, Jessica will sign you in for the Christmas meal with the Lantwick Major Class.
Thank you for the invite.
Yeah, well, I've had loads of stick for not inviting other people, so I thought I'd invite you. And Jeff, don't forget to send a deposit over for the blooming trip to Thingamajig as well.
Don't worry.
I am worrying because apparently I've already paid for the bloody room, so I gotta get the money out to do it. All right then. Okay.
Christmas meal I went with you. It's just you and Michelle.
Oh,
Yeah.
shut
You
up,
and Sandra.
shut up. Anyway, Claire, we'll see you next week. Take care.
Bye.
Bye. Bye, Claire.
Bye.
Bye. Right, okay, guys, I want a break. So, Drina, anything you want to say quick?
No, nothing. Thank you.
David, anything quick
No.
before we have a break?
No,
No.
thank you.
David's already made his cup of tea. And Andy, anything you want to say?
Interesting that all the oldest civilizations are in the areas that we consider the remotest.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also, Andy, the point that I didn't, that I should have made twice, is the point that we've got the earliest indicators of developing civilization. Sandra made the point of Mesolithic civilization. We got the first indicators of developing civilization that come from the likes of Orkney, Shetland. Oh, and by the way, Hebrides as well. So we got the earliest archaeology in Britain, and there's a reason for that, which is not clear in anything I've said. We've got lots of evidence of archaeology in Orkney and the Hebrides and Shetland, because we've got 7,500 square did I say kilometers or miles of land on the Hebrides, and it's so sparsely populated that you could have Mesolithic evidence over there, and nobody's ever going to live there. So it's going to be good survivals. But that's not to take away from the importance of the archaeology on these islands, which is a testament to everything that you've just said, Andy.
Yeah.
Right, we're going to take a break now, and Andy, we're all going to be in bed with you soon, all cuddled up.
It's big enough.
Well, that's it. Well, okay then. Drina on one side of me, Anne on the other, and you can have Margaret. Right. Anyway, I'll be back. We'll try and keep it short, because otherwise we're going to go on forever. So 5-minute break, and that's it. We'll be back.
Oh, okay.
Well, we're not going to have 10, because otherwise we're going to be doing this all day. Right. Anyway, speak to you soon.
All right.
All right.
Oh, okay.
5 minutes. 5 minutes. That's all.
Where are you, Andy?
In bed. What do you mean? Where is he? Where else is he?
He's
going to
in
be?
bed somewhere.
Yeah, well, he's in his. What do you mean?
Emergency services. You're at a conference. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Are you at the climate change conference?
In Glasgow.
Are you in Glasgow?
I'm in Glasgow. Yeah, but I can't tell you that, of course.
Oh,
No.
okay.
Oh, that's really interesting.
Yeah.
Oh my God!
We Clyde on the jet ski.
Are you influencing them?
No, we're not. I'm not allowed to take any point of view of that. We're just up here to rescue people if they fall in the Thames. That's not a good idea. In the Clyde.
Oh gosh.
Really nice riding up and down on the jet ski up and down the Clyde.
I saw those. On the news. The emergency services going up and down on the thing.
Somebody with a blue helmet, it's probably going to be me.
Did you see that massive motorcade from the USA? About 15 vans and police cars.
AC6.
Next to us,
ludicrous, isn't it? To the climate change conference.
The Americans, aren't they?
They're bonkers, aren't they?
Yeah.
And Biden was asleep. Showed him nodding off, him and Boris.
Well, he's getting on a bit. Yeah.
Oh, dear me.
Did you go by helicopter?
No. We came up by car. So they've got some helicopters here as well. They've got everything. There's only us 2 jet skis and 3 armed police boats on the river at all, and nobody else is allowed on it. Yeah. Which is very nice.
Rain? Rain, I think, here. Or it might be your little pond.
Might be the pond.
I'll look against the window. I can't see any.
There's no rain on the window, are you saying now?
I tell you what I'm going to do. If I have this off and I get over it, I'm off. I told my daughter that. I'm going on a cruise somewhere.
Well, why not? Yes, absolutely. Sharon and Ty, they just come back from one.
Have they?
Yeah, that's what she got MS, Sharon. So
Yeah.
she couldn't really appreciate it that much. They went to the Canary Islands and Madeira.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, it was good. Yeah.
Did you see the one on
The
the
lava
top?
on Las Palmas.
Yeah,
They saw the clouds, but
because it's an island that I read up about it. That that's where Nelson took on the water and all the rest of it, the fleet. And our fleet used to be anchored off Las Palmas when it was in that.
well, we call in on when I was at sea. We call in and pick up stores.
That's right. Yeah.
And pick up stores there.
Yeah.
I remember we picked up what we thought was going to be lamb,
Yeah.
but it looked more like goat, to be honest with you, because
They do look more like goats.
Yeah.
Because we still have the every now and again a shepherd used to walk down the track where I had my place in Spain, and the one big one in the front always had a big bell on his neck, and he used to sort of shoo him off. I used to say, no, you can come on, because they kept the grass down, that. And I thought, how the hell can they call those damn things sheep? They look like goats.
Yes.
I fell over in the mud at Kendal Castle last week.
Oh.
I'll take the dog for a walk around Kendal Castle just for a change. And instead of going up the hill, I thought it'll be a bit slippery up there. We went around the periphery, and the dog disappeared into a bush and he didn't come out. So I thought, I better go and see where he is. And I had to scramble up a little slope, and my feet just went from under me, and I was covered from head to toe. It was even dripping off the end of my nose. I was absolutely caked in mud. And the car had just had its MOT, and they'd given it a nice clean. So I had to walk back like a scarecrow with my arms and legs sticking out, and just hope I wasn't stopped on the way home. And what a smell. So, yeah, good for the complexion, though.
Well, my grandson turned up on my doorstep with his suitcase and 2 dogs.
And some what?
Some dogs.
Suitcase
Dogs.
and his 2 dogs.
All right.
Can I stop with you for a while, Dan? Yes. I'm not cooking. I'm not doing your washing. I'm not doing anything. But you can have the bedroom there and the sun lounge off it. Yes, okay, Nan, he said. And I'm supposed to be not looking after dogs, but I don't know who the hell else is, because he's not there all day. He's out at work, and I'm stuck there with the 2 dogs.
Oh my God.
But they're lovely dogs.
Yeah.
They keep you company.
They are lovely company, and I miss mine so much that I was rather keen. But we were sat in the room. One always sits by my leg, always sits by me, always insists on lying on the floor by the side of my bed. And anyway, this day I was sat there, and I thought, well, what's that noise? And it was bang, 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 bang. And it went on for a while. I thought, who on earth is working out there now in this weather? And then it stopped. And then I thought, well, I haven't seen Hooch for a while. That's the one dog, the youngest one of the 2. And I opened the front door, and I must have locked him out. He must have gone past me. He was locked out, but he'd given up banging my door because it was raining, and he was in next door knocking their front door. He knew where he was.
Cheryl's got a dog now, a new dog.
Is she?
Yeah, she's got a retriever poodle, a poodle. Retriever poodle mix.
Retriever
Yeah.
poodle.
Yeah.
You're better off having a mixed breed.
Yeah. Yeah.
I myself had both, you know.
Yeah.
The thing is, I'm not mixed breed. There's no Celt in me. Carry on.
Well, that's obvious. Yeah. Yeah. You're not. Yeah. We see that. Yeah. You're not quite all there. If you had a bit of Celt, you would be all there.
Oh, thank you very
have
much.
a dog. I remember your dog. Benji?
Oh, Benji. Oh, yeah. Don't talk about Colin.
You look like Charles II with your hair like that, Carl. Is it Charles II or Charles I? Charles II.
Charles II,
With
yeah.
the long wavy hair.
Yeah, that's the one.
The first one,
The one
First
that
one
was
didn't have a
head
hair.
chopped off.
No, that was Charles that was the first, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That is a
Charles
chopped off.
VII is coming.
Oh, yeah. Flipping out, my head's going. Right, yeah. Oh, you were talking about sheep. We're going to get some Balwen sheep, which are some ancient sheep. Yeah.
I've
So,
heard of them.
The
Balwen.
Snowies are nice, like we got it on Plateau.
Yeah, we want to
Fancy
get
Hebridean?
we want to get some Sowie sheep, and the Hebridean are really hardy. But there's one sheep that you would never be able to get is the oh god, I think it's the Rousey sheep. They can only eat kelp. They can't eat grass.
All right.
Oh, that limits
I
it a bit.
remember at Flag Fen, they've got very ancient sheep there that you don't see anywhere else. Can't remember where they were from. Did you see them, Drina? The ancient sheep at Flag
No, I
Fen?
can't remember. That's too long ago. I can't remember.
Too long.
I remember seeing them. I remember them. Yeah, they've got a small flock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're very, very, very ancient.
Yeah, quite long haired.
Older than Andy.
Older than Andy.
We had
What?
Sowie lambs, and they were entirely different to the normal lamb you get from a butcher, because they were very, very lean, and because they'd only eaten marine grassland, they're an entirely different flavour to them.
They've got special sheep down at the Gower, haven't they?
Yes, they have. Yeah,
They got special. They live on the mud flats.
Yeah.
don't- on
on the marine grassland. Yeah,
on the marine grassland.
yeah.
I tell you what, right? I wish I had done this today now, because you lot just taken over. Right, these are the sheep that we want. I'm going to show you the image now. Right, so
Yeah.
right, here we go. They're coming up now. We're gonna have a look at them now. Hang on. There they are.
Where there's only fox.
No, they're not.
There.
I haven't seen one yet.
Back to the foxgloves.
Oh, for God, blooming Jessica and a foxglove, you can blooming stick them.
We haven't
She
even
gets-
mentioned the herd with.
Charles II again.
Oh, shut up, you tart! Shut up! I'm going to show it now. Right, here we go. Balwen sheep there.
Oh,
Very
they're
smart.
handsome sheep, aren't they?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
They are.
Balwen.
It takes after me black sheep of the family. So we're gonna look at them.
Mm.
Don't they look good?
Very
How
dark.
many acres have you got then?
4.
Oh, look at the little one in the bath.
Yes. Easy.
What, a little one in the blooming bath there?
Yeah, there was a little one in the bath.
No.
Oh. Well, anyway.
They're
oh,
very
my-
handsome, aren't they?
They
Yeah, they
are.
are. Like,
The
oh,
markings are
God.
very precise, aren't they?
Mhm.
Oh,
Yeah.
my head's going. Right, folks, shut up. Right, okay. I got to take it. Right, I want to finish by blooming. Last week we finished at blooming 10 o'clock. This week we're going to finish at 10 as well. Last week I had an excuse to finish at 10 o'clock, right? This week my head's going. Right, it's Jessica's fault.
You have to finish it. I have to go to bed then.
Look, look. All right then. All right. Okay, fine. Stop labouring the point.
5:30.
Shut up. Shut up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What? Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Does
not.
anyone know what's going on? Because I don't. Right, let's crack on. Let's just crack on. Right, we done that, right? Right, okay. I've got the we're gonna first things first. I wanted to mention the Callanish standing stones. What did I say? Did I say earlier on? I got my Stornoways and my Stromsies and all already mixed up. On the Isle of Lewis, the northern island itself, we've got the Callanish standing stones, right? So we're going to have a look at them as well. They're part of this great megalithic landscape. The megaliths referring to huge stones. The Callanish, we'll have a look at some images as well. Google images. The Callanish standing stones are an extraordinary cross-shaped setting of stones erected well over 5,000 years ago. So it makes these stone circles, it makes this stone circle one of the earliest stone circles in Britain. They predate England's famous Stonehenge monument by at least 1,000 years. So we're talking about 5,000 years ago. We got this stone arrangement at Callanish. We don't know why the standing stones at Callanish were erected. Well, we don't know why the stones at Stonehenge were erected, but our best guess is that it was a kind of astronomical observatory. And just I'm just going to chuck a load of some things in, and we'll have a look at these Callanish stones. Then I'll get back to what I was going to talk about, and eventually we might finish today. So there was an excavation at the Callanish stones, which is really unusual, by a certain Patrick Ashmore in the 1980s. And he offers this. He writes about, he's the archaeologist that excavated there. The most attractive explanation is that every 18.9 years, the moon skims especially low over the southern hills. It seems to dance along them like a great god visiting the earth. Knowledge and prediction of this heavenly event gave earthly authority to those who watch the skies. Now, can you remember a little while ago we mentioned about one of those ancient Greek travelers describing this stone that would have some significance every 19 years. So every 18.6 years. So there we go. You've got this great sort of illumination of these stones. This sort of great. The moon skims especially low over the southern hills. It seems to dance along them like a great god visiting the earth.
You can't see the stones.
Yeah, you're not meant to, because shut up. I'm doing my bit, then I'm showing you the stones.
Okay.
Carsten, you're a rebel tonight. You're a rebel. Cast and crew of Call the Midwife swapped. I don't know. I've never heard of that. Swapped Popular for the Outer Hebrides to film their Christmas special, and Callanish standard stones featured in the episode. And strangely enough, these stones themselves, it's completely not even relevant, that bit. I'm taking this from the English Heritage website, but the point is with these stones themselves, English Heritage website, no, Scottish Heritage, I don't know what I'm talking about anymore. Callanish website by Scottish Heritage. So we're going to show you a few images, then we're going to go back to what we were meant to be talking about. If we can actually make sense of anything I'm talking about today. So what we need is, here we go, aerial view of these Callanish stones. Yes, and I will get them up on the thing now. Hang on a minute, just to keep that miserable bugger Margaret happy. Hang on. Here we go. Well, I do love you, Margaret. Don't worry. Don't
worry, Margaret, is when he does love you.
Right. So here we go. Look at that. Doesn't that look fantastic?
Yeah.
The thing is that they're talking about this being part of some kind of observatory, and you're thinking, well, we're never going to know. We're really never going to know. Look at that there. These are absolutely massive stones, and again, we're looking there.
So that reminds me of Stonehenge.
Why does it?
Because of the avenue going up to it.
Yeah.
Well, if you look at the shadows are absolutely in line, aren't they?
Yeah.
And it almost looks like an outline of a man.
Or a woman.
Maybe it should be,
Legs, arms, and almost. Yeah.
Or if we're doing a Monty Python, or a hermaphrodite. Or if we want to be technically, we'll just stop talking crap, Carl. Right. So look at some of these other views. Hang on a minute. Oh, we don't want to buy the blooming views. Hang on a minute. Hang on. No, hang on. Let's get some other views of these.
They're wonderful, aren't they? Absolutely wonderful.
The shadows were absolutely in line.
Yeah, they were great in the 70s, weren't they, the shadows?
You're a man of mystery.
Cliff Richard in the shadows, sorry. So yeah, no, it's just that they're not it's not a normal arrangement, is it? It's not.
No.
It's not bog standard. It's something very, very different. It's
That's
something
absolutely north and south.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? Look at that.
Well, the shadows. At what point in the day would the shadows be absolutely due south?
The thing is, Pete, if we go with not knowing what the hell's going on with this, and we think that you know what, right? You know what I'm going to say? I'm going to spit it out. I'm going to spit it out. We don't always need an explanation for these things. The actual event of creating these things is enough. I know it sounds absolutely ridiculous that I'm even saying that there might not be any meaning specifically. However,
meaning to it.
Pete, just let me do this little bit, right? No, it doesn't always have to be a meaning throughout history. It for some points in history, it does have a meaning. But the point I'm trying to say is that when this was originally set up, the way it was interpreted and the way it was meant to be a portent of whatever changed. This was standing. This has stood for 5,000 years. So obviously, stone circle in the middle. Did the stone circle in the middle come first? Did the lines of stones and all these different things? So yes, sometimes it had meaning. Other times it didn't have meaning. Other times it meant this and this. This is what I'm trying to say, Pete. I'm trying to make this more open. The one thing in archaeology is so suffocating when you go to some lectures. It's definitely this. Let's just say that these people actually created this, and it's a marvel. It's something. Yeah. It's something amazing, Pete. This is what I'm trying to say.
But it is so accurately done. North, south, east, west, isn't it?
Yeah.
Love it. Yes, exactly. And maybe okay, Pete. Maybe it's just a giant. It's a giant compass.
Well, yeah, may well be. Yeah.
It looks as if it's a roundabout.
Oh, shut up, you silly. But anyway, the point. Yeah, exactly, Sandra. It could be anything. The magic. Sometimes the magic of archaeology is seeing it in the eyes of everyone, and then maybe when we can see it in the eyes of everyone, we can really get to grips with an understanding of the past. And the understanding of the past is we've got something really special there, like those great statues that we started off with today. Anyway, what I need to do is I need to now. Unfortunately, I got to move away from the Carl-james stones, right? Which is a bit of a shame. And here's hang on a minute. It's known as Craig and the Dune. Laurel's compass.
Laurel's compass. There you go.
There you are.
That was by complete mistake. I didn't know. Yeah. So in other words, yeah, that was by complete mistake. I made a bit of a guess there, but anyway, this is the thing. That's somebody else's interpretation, which was my interpretation anyway. So and again, it's just all these stones, and you just get. I think with something like this, you need to just get lost in it and just wander around the stones and just be part of it, part of the experience, because the past is an experience. The past is a country that you can get to via a postcard, but you can never ever be there. But you can obviously visit and interpret it in the way that you want to interpret it. And people, this is what made me so angry when I took a group of people to Stonehenge. Right, when I took a group of people to Stonehenge, I was told by English Heritage that I was not allowed to say certain things. Right, we had a security guard with us for the whole event. Right, and then I started opening my gob. Obviously the security guard wasn't told that certain things I wasn't able to tell or not. When you go to somewhere like Callanish, you can go in amongst them and you can visit it and you can understand this and you can interpret it, and there's no fence around it. And this is what history and archaeology is all about: getting in amongst those stones, loving it, interpreting it, looking at that tall stone. And one just quick thing I'm going to chuck in there, Pete will know this. When we go to the stone circle at Stennes, they've got like these angles to the stones at the top where there's like an angle. Remember that, Pete?
Yeah.
The big. So this is what we're talking about across these aisles. Oh God! So what I'm going to do now? You're going to see me banding on for like 15 minutes, and then we're going to have to call it a night. So this is one. This was an impossible task tonight to just do the Hebrides. But what I was trying to do with the Hebrides was just to give you an interest in another world that we don't usually look at. Can I just mention one thing? I know. Last week, when I did my class on a Thursday morning, right, I had just gone to the shop, and on the way back, I'd started Zoom, right. I had a cup of tea with a guy in a country lane from BT, and on the way back, I walked and gave a whole class for 20 minutes on the Antarctic, and it was brilliant. And that allowed me to interpret and think and move on the way. And this is what history and archaeology is about. So here we go, a short history of archaeology in the Uists, Outer Hebrides. It's just a tiny little thing. Neil Sharples, that's a name that would ring bells for anyone interested.
Cardiff University.
Niall Sharples, exactly. Cardiff University. He's done a lot of work with my old lecturer, Dr. Colin Richards. So yeah. Anyway, here we go. This is just a small, short paragraph. It's going to be read out. The Scottish Islands have played a role in the development of Scottish archaeology that seemed disproportionate to the size of the islands. Tick box. There's so much there. It's as we said, it's the beginnings of that life of interpretation in regards to the Hebridean Islands, in regards to Orkney, and I'm missing out Shetland a bit, but that's got its own little world. I need to explain that now I've said it. Orkney and the Hebridean Islands have been extensively researched. It was only in the 70s and 80s that people started to really look seriously at the Shetlands as they were doing in Orkney. Shetland only had its first full-time professional archaeologist in the 1980s. So where lots of research was going on in Orkneys and the Hebrides, Shetland was a little bit behind. I needed to say that. The archaeology of the islands, Hebrides, Orkney, is often considered to exemplify Scottish archaeology, much to the annoyance of archaeologists working on the mainland, Scottish mainland, where the archaeology is very different. So what? But you're able to go into worlds that are untainted by Scottish mainland archaeology. This is particularly the case with Orkney, where the archaeological record is exceptional in many ways and where the history of exploration has been extensive. But the Hebrides have also made a major contribution on one which has perhaps been overlooked. So the region of this sort of south and north US in these in basically that's south of the island of Lewis. The region has a major role to play in archaeology. It's sort of this important timelines can be said to be rolled out within the South US Islands. Surprisingly significant role in moving forward our understanding of archaeology in general across Britain. We've used new techniques in South US, archaeological debates and developments over the nature of brocks and chambered calms, and the development of the way archaeology evolves in Britain all comes from the study of these islands in South North US and Lewis itself. And there's so much out there that has been excavated but hasn't been published, and there's a huge amount of information that is out there to be studied from South US, and that information is gradually coming out. One of you said earlier on about when will it be? Oh, Sandra, she said when will we be seeing evidence published about archaeological work being done in West Wales? Well, in fact, there's so much work being on South and North US that there's such a massive backlog, so many important discoveries being made, that's going to take time to come out. But it's not because people have been hiding it, because there's so much out there. Lots of us archaeologists, including me, we've got lots of archaeological backlogs to get out and get the information out there. So what I want to do now, I've got a little bit of a scratch and sniff, and this scratch and sniff just takes us. What I'm going to do, it's thanks to a website. We're also going to South US now, and lots of the other bits of the Outer Hebrides rather than in Inner Hebrides. And I'm just going to scroll this on the screen. The website is visitouterhebrides.co.uk rather than the Inner Hebrides. Outer Hebrides. I'm just going to screen share this. This would be useful for you all to catch up on. It's just one of those little websites you can just press and sort of see and go in and out. So you need to know this one. Do it on your own back, but we'll see what we can do now. So right, okay, here we go. Excellent. Right, visit the Outer Hebrides. There you go. It's sort of Christianity and buildings and cells and various other things. So here we go. The Outer Hebrides have been and continue to be an area of great interest to archaeologists, and have offered a vast amount of information about what Scotland was like throughout history. Now, I've been actually saying that the Hebridean Islands are a lot more than Scottish history, and I'll stick with that. But they are the background and foundation of Scottish history and what it was like throughout history. So we'll go with that one. Neolithic stone structures, medieval churches. We haven't even mentioned medieval churches. Mummies, well, I mentioned those mummies, have all been found on this archipelago, and many archaeological sites are open to the public to explore, excavated, open to the public, free of charge. Naturally, free of charge, because there's so many sites that you can't have wardens and guards on all of them. Do you know what I mean? A number of prehistoric stone circles have been found on the Outer Hebrides, the preeminent of which is undoubtedly the Callanish standing stones. So there we go. We're just a little bit of a reminder of what we just seen. There we go. Look at that. Doesn't that look great? Where we see these stones, the Callanish stones, lost in the mists of time and lost beneath the peat. Oh, yeah, do you know, we're going to do this. The most famous prehistoric stone monuments in Scotland spent much of its life under the living blanket of peat, which covers much of the islands. By 1857, just the tips of a few stones peeked out of the bog. When the island's landowner, here we go, he's back again, Sir James Matheson, decided to excavate. This same guy kicked that guy out, Splut MacLeod. from the Isle of Lewis. Near 2 meters of peat, later Callanish, the wonderful and powerful monument from 5,000 years ago was exposed. Towering almost 5 meters into the skies, 4 rows of ancient stones radiate outward from a stone circle, forming a rough cross shape. At the center is a huge, nearly 5-meter tall monolith looking over a stone burial kist that settles within the circle. I like the way they've got kist there with a K and not a C. Standing on a rise overlooking fresh and salt water locks dotted within tiny islands, the site dominates its landscape. I'm loving this bit, yeah. Older than the pyramids of Egypt, long before the pyramids of Egypt were built, the northern and western isles of Scotland were a centre of sophisticated monuments, building which radiated out and south to influence later monuments such as Stonehenge. These stones of 300 million year old Lewisian gist. Pardon?
Nice.
I can never pronounce that word, Nice. Is it Nice or Nist?
Nice.
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 Yep.
Shut up, you. Some of the oldest rock on the planet were chosen, hauled, and precisely placed by our Neolithic ancestors using only stone tools, strength, and great skill. It is an awe-inspiring place. I wonder if they actually came from
extremely
West.
hard rock, and
Yeah.
almost like granite, metamorphic. It's so hard. They would take
Exactly.
great skill to work with it.
Yeah, it would be. It would be obviously Lewisian Nice, and you know, it's obviously all that local stuff which has been used, and that gives it a sense of potent to be brought from quarries and to be erected. Do you know what? There's more stuff here, and here we go, shrouded in mystery, place of power, a very special place. All these things that we didn't discuss earlier on. The importance increased when we realized that there are at least 15 other stone circles and standing stones nearby. In fact, we didn't mention. We do not know why it was built. We agree with that. Pottery and other finds show that this was a thriving and sophisticated society, and that these islands have been the center of a wider culture that traded by sea. Nice point. Perhaps it was a kind of place to come close to the gods, a place of ceremony, a place to watch the movements of the moon and stars. These Callanish monuments were that we will always be the awe-struck visitor to ponder and dream. I think that's great. So we got that there, and we know it was excavated in the 1980s. So another site is the Carlo, which is one of those brocks, which we're just going to quickly show you here. Carlo Broch. There it is. One of the finest brocks within the Hebridean Islands and the Outer Hebrides, the Isle of Lewis. It's obviously we are now running out of time, but from the Iron Age, around 2,000 years ago. But go on this website and have a good look. They've done Caraway is one of the best preserved brocks. There is still uncertainty as to why these brocks were constructed. Were they homes? Were they defensive places for powerful families or meeting centres? As the archaeologist Martin Carruthers, who's excavating a broch on the island of Orkney, would say, standing at nearly 7 meters tall, some 13 meters tall, as with the one at Mooser on the island of Shetland. Caraway is thought to have been constructed over 2,000 years ago with walls over 3 meters thick. Further south in the chain of islands is Claddahallen in South Uist. And do you know what, right? I really wanted to give us time to look at Claddahallen, but we've run out, but we're going to mention this quickly in a little bit of time that we got. Claddahallen, 2 mummies were found during excavations between 1989 and 2002, really recently. There were a male and female who died around 1,600 years and 1,300 years BC, respectively. So that's 3,600 and 3,300 years ago, respectively. And we're part of a much larger Neolithic community. We'll just click on that one again. Claddahallen associated with these round houses. And basically, what we do know is that these bodies were brought out on a regular basis, and they were buried and they were brought out again, and it's that great thing. They're associated with the settlement as well. Again, so excavated really recently, and then finally, finally we'll mention head over to US Unearthed. That we've got more information there. We've got that there. US Unearthed, so we got that there. We'll just click on that one, and look at that. Lots of images. About they've obviously done some reconstructions here, haven't they? So there we go. These great big buildings. And you know, one thing I would say, I'm going to be building a roundhouse soon, right? And one thing I do know about roundhouses is the best roundhouses are sunken into the ground. And what do you see there? A building made out of stone. It's a roundhouse, but sunken into the ground. And then here we go, and just end with this little thing here, right? The archaeological work undertaken in the Outer Hebrides has provided us with invaluable information about the fascinating island history of the Isles. Work is still underway today to try and uncover some of the mysteries surrounding the first inhabitants of the Outer Hebrides. We'll just discuss that little one point in a sec. And many more ancient discoveries will undoubtedly continue to be unearthed. That word there, the first inhabitants, we haven't actually got to year zero. We might actually have evidence of people on these islands going back maybe another 500, maybe 1,000 years. And then we hit the ice. So we go to year zero, that we're actually seeing the development of these people. And I gotta be honest with you, excuse my language, these people have been bloody influential in developing civilization and culture in complete isolation from the rest of the world, except their islands, and there was trade. each time something new was brought in, it would be like a spark into a drum of gunpowder, which would evolve a population and a civilization within these Hebridean islands that would go on for nearly 9,000 years. And that is the end of what I wanted to say today. So what we're going to do now, we're just going to go to Zoom. And I'm well aware that some of you need to sort of poddle off. So anyway, I'm going to say we'll go 2 minutes of questions and whatever. So I've really enjoyed doing this week. We'll obviously be here next week. So Andy, have you got any questions? I think he's fallen asleep, hasn't he?
He's on mute.
Next.
He's on mute. Andy's on mute. What about you, Dave? Is there anything you want to say? Because Dave always wants to go at this point.
It would be nice to do more of it in the future.
Yeah, I tell you what, lots of stuff that we've been doing recently, Dave, has been scratching the surface. We could have done a lot more about Antarctica, and it would be great to do more. I don't think I even scratched the surface in some bits today. So you are dead right. It would be good to maybe visit the Hebridean Islands again sometime in the new year. You are right, Dave. Yeah. So, Dave. So, what about you, Margaret? Anything you'd like to say?
Well, Skara Brae seems to be the same age as the Callanish stones, so they must all have been linked in some way. They're all from that time, aren't they? They must have travelled by boat. They must have known one another.
But then again, then again, it may have just been the same level of interpretation that these people were having. There may have been a link, there may not have been, but these people are obviously very much in tune. That's the word we should use, in tune with what's around them. Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So, Drina, we haven't heard much from Drina today. I think she's too much loved up with Idris and his new possible role as James Bond.
No, I've got no questions. Thank you very much. It was really interesting.
By the way, thank you for that, Drina. Have you got any insider information? Is he going to be the next James Bond?
No, he's not.
I don't think so.
What do you mean? You don't? You're not sleeping with him as well, are you?
No, but I saw the Bond film, and there's a clue in it which I'm not telling you. But it's not going to be Idris.
Is it going to be a man or a woman?
I'm not telling you.
Oh, you horrible! Right.
The rumor is it's going to be a woman.
Well, I could have put a dress on. I'd make a good woman, as you know, Sandra, with a dog called
We
Colin.
remember Dorothy very well.
Yes, we remember Dorothy well. Yeah.
Yeah. I've given some women nightmares about that since. But Sandra and Pete, anything you'd like to say?
I'd love to have more of this time period.
Yeah, me too.
Mesolithic, pre-Mesolithic. I think it's the basis for everything that came along. And we could learn a lot more from that. I mean, going up a castle is very interesting, but I'd rather go around a roundhouse.
Yeah.
Well, you can come around my roundhouse. That's the best offer I can give you, Sandra.
Remember when we went to St. Fagans and we went in the roundhouse, the reconstruction village there?
Yeah.
I said then, I'd love one of these. I'd love to retire to one of these.
Well, guess what, Sandra? I'm building one.
I think that's lovely.
So yeah, it's something that I've got. The problem is with building a roundhouse, you can't do a plan. You've got to develop it in your head with the available timbers that we've got, and that's you've got to build everything that I've been building recently. I've just thought, right, that goes there, and yeah. So,
are you allowed to do that on your own land?
You are, if it's for agricultural purposes, yeah.
Yeah, it's the same in Spain. You can build anywhere as long as it's for agricultural purposes.
Exactly. The Bulwen sheep will love it. Well, Margaret's just left us, so anything from you, Anne?
Yes, like everyone else, I felt, as I said, it at half time, it was moving very quickly, and there's so much in it. I like everyone else feel. I mean, you could have done a whole course on it. There seemed so much to know, and it was all very interesting. And yeah, we almost need more than a taster.
Yeah, I will discuss this
really
with Jess.
good. I thought really good.
Yeah, I'll just I'll have a chat. Thank you very much for that. And who else have we got left now? Andy, anything? And Jessica, quick.
No, it's good.
It was good. Oh,
hang on. Let go on, Andy.
Just saying, no, just saying. I'd like much more detail. There's a lot of the islands are very different as well, so there's a lot there.
Yeah,
I noticed that stone circle. It's very like that one at oh god, what's the Ring of Brodgar? The stones there at an angle on the top angled there as well. It's very interesting. Different, same style, shall we say? Much bigger, of course, but
so yeah, same style.
I have a problem with compasses, as that's a much later kind of structure and manufactured thing. But obviously, the sun comes up in the east and goes in the west approximately at certain times of the year, give or take a few degrees. But with magnetic north is a relatively new thing, but I'm sure they would have had something like that. It's interesting that it happens to just pretty much accurately fit that, though, isn't it?
Yeah, but the compass and things have changed over time. But the thing is, how has it? You know, all these different things, and it's moved back and it's gone this way. Yeah, exactly.
You off and just get my legs moving.
Okay, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, thanks for that, Andy. If anything else you want to say, Andy? And no.
Well, apart from, I went past a Crannog today, but unfortunately the tide was too high. There's one on the north bank of the Clyde, just out on the edge of Glasgow, just past Govan, which is really interesting. But I thought, oh, I can see a Crannog, but the tide was too high, so I didn't see it.
You couldn't surf over to it. No, exactly. Surf.
I think it's the remains of being on the Clyde. It's probably been excavated to get out of the way for shipping.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah. Anyway, thanks for that, Andy. You'll have to get us a photograph of that. What's that, Andy?
So if I get down that end again, we're a bit restricted on that one because of guns, nice police guns. So.
Oh right, yeah, okay, fair enough. Anyway, thanks for that, Andy. And quickly, Jessica, anything quickly?
No, I enjoyed the chess pieces. I thought they were lovely. And my Baldrick to my Carl joined the lesson today.
Oh,
Has he paid?
Is he paid? Is he a charge for it?
So she enjoyed it as well, didn't you, Elsie? Oh, she's a bit sleepy now.
Yeah, well, no, Elsie had to pay £3.50.
I'll get her to become a member.
Yeah. You're gonna have to. So right. So any right, next week, for some strange reason, I haven't got my diary for next week, but I might change what we're going to be doing next week, and it will be a prehistoric theme deliberately, but it'll be a continental one. So we'll look at that, and yes, I got something in my head. So anything that anyone else would like to say before we finish today?
It's just that these people obviously had a greater understanding of science, etc., than we give them credit for.
Yeah, they were.
Yeah.
They had a much greater understanding than we give them credit for. Yeah.
And you didn't, and where we need to write it down, they didn't need to, and that's even more.
That's right.
Do you know what? When you when you don't have the distractions of modern day and the modern day, you don't need to have things written down, right? It's what you do every day to remember things, and that's how they work. Today we've got so many distractions where we've got to write things down.
But we live a lot longer than they did. They didn't have so many years to write things down for, did they?
So in other words, it's oral tradition, and their what they've given us is obviously their legacy. So on that note, anyone else got anything else we'll say, and we'll call it a night?
No.
Oh, good night, all.
Good night, all.
Good night.
Good night to everybody. Good night, David and Gina and Peter and Sandra and Andy and Jessica and the Pope and the dog, and Queenie and Baldrick and everybody else. Take care, guys. See you next week.
Bye.
Bye. No, be safe, Andy, as well. Don't get shot. And it's how many? Who's left? It's only Anne. Oh,
it's only us now, Carl.
Right. Okay. Anyway, yes, that was good. So in other words, we only just touched the surface, which was a thing.
Yeah, there's so much. It's rich in archaeology, and I think it's a fantastic place to look at.
But having them demanding that we, do you know what? There's something we've got to change. We've obviously got to change direction in January again, and maybe something's telling me that we should maybe just go back to what we did years and years ago. Start with the chronology of British archaeology again.
Yeah.
So
I think that's a good idea to. I think that's nice.
So yeah, we could do that. So Anyway, I'm gonna dash now.
Yeah, that's fine, Carl. I'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah, can I just say one thing? When I had that bloody thing off them, right? They said they were going to take. Oh, hang on a minute. Let's stop screen sharing. Let's do that. 1, 2, 3. Anyway, goodbye everybody on the doodah thingamajig and YouTube, and we'll see you again. Take care.